if you try to search in the search bar Exposed TV, you'll come up with a couple of channels with maybe 100 subscribers, a couple hundred subscribers, maybe, but you're not going to come up with the original Exposed TV channel, which I think has largely been shut down due to violation of YouTube's terms of services. So I think any video out there is simply a copy of the original Exposed TV videos on different channels. So this seems to be one of the more viral and popular videos in exposing Jason Blaha. So we're going to take a look at this one first with regard to going ahead and trying to debunk this exposure.
Still trying to convince everybody of his fake mercenary past after popular military and nine-line appeals have joined it.
Okay, so pretty much over here what we have is I cut the introduction because that was just the introduction, so I moved 30 seconds into the video. But pretty much they're saying that even after popular military and nine-line apparel have joined in exposing this phony, he's still back at it. So let's go investigate these so-called websites and see what would any reasonable person would take a look at and trust as a source of source material. So let's go take a look at them. I've actually saved them over here. Here's nine-line apparel, but let's take a look at the other one first. Okay, so here is popularmilitary.com, the one that they referred to, and just a quick look at, you know, some of their stories over here, right? After 4 years in the military, this Marine is barely recognizable. You have some woman in lingerie. You have this soldier getting pissed drunk and finding trouble in a uniform. Scroll a little bit further down, you have mom speaks out for the first time on online exhibitionist daughter was found dead, with a booty pic of some woman in a high skirt. I don't even know if she's wearing underwear in that pic. And then scroll down, you see some homosexual crap over there. So you could easily see this is more of a TMZ, sort of paparazzi, fake news, CNN sort of website. The type of website you would go on if you want to, this is kind of the type of website you would go on if you want maybe, you know, I don't know, if you wanted to get your share of fake news, or, you know, if you're some type of groupie, or, you know, homosexual, or I don't know. I mean, this is certainly not a place you would go to if you're looking for, let's see what else we can find here. All right, so just a bunch of real hearsay. Once again, the woman in lingerie, smoking. Here, you see the words, one from ugly duckling to smoking hot during her 4 years. I mean, for real, like, this is not the type of website I would go to for any, and I do mean any, reliable source of information at all. And I think any reasonable person would tend to agree with me on that one. Let's take a look over at this one. We have inline apparel. So you can see right away they're more of a clothing line. They have men's apparel, women's apparel, limited designs. Actually, that looks extremely cool. I'm not gonna lie, that looks so awesome. I would probably get one myself. Be far more interested in selling hoodies than exposing a guy like Blaha. But I don't know, maybe you guys will take a look at this website and be like, yeah, this is where I would go to definitely find a place to debunk this guy. I don't know, maybe that's neither here nor there. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you know, next time I'm going to check out Abercrombie and Fitch. Next time I want to go ahead and expose Jason Blaha. Maybe American Eagle, and I got to go ahead and check out Nike and Adidas as well. I'm not really sure. I don't really know. But be that as it may, I just don't think this is the place we're going to find ironclad evidence for or against Jason Blaha, and I don't think anything they would say would hold any weight whatsoever on this subject, because I don't think they would be covering this subject. I seriously doubt it. I think it's a lie. But even if they do, I would love to see that article. But at last, it's not in the description, and I don't think it was in the description of the original video either. So let's move on.
There's been a new development. A person with a hidden face is just uploaded a YouTube video claiming to have worked with Blaha in the field.
This is Confrontation 22, I was on Popular Military, and a Stolen Valor article kind of drew my attention to this guy named Jason Blaha.
Okay, so once again, we are on Popular Military. We established that it's not a reliable source of information along the lines of CNN, maybe TMZ, fake news, you know, the like. So we already established this, so let's see what he has to say.
After watching one of his YouTube videos where he's holding an AR-10 with a big sheen grin on his face, I realized exactly what it was.
Okay. I think he said, so I started doing a little bit of digging, but I think what the situation is, since this is not the original copy, they cut that part out, which is annoying, but be that as it may, let's continue.
An AR-10 with a big sheen grin on his face, I realized exactly what it was, because he was always so fond of the 308. That don't go to him anyway. I hadn't seen that guy in 16 years or so, but I remember him. We used to work together.
Okay, so that would place it, if Jason was around 40 at the time of this video, 16 years ago, that would place him around 24 years of age. So I'm guessing that Jason served in the mercenary unit, sometimes between the ages of 20 and 24. That would be my guess.
Job. It was a solo job, and I was there when he missed his extraction. 3 days later, he popped back up on the grid, arrested by the federal authorities of that country. I was on the team that had to go extract his ass, and we broke him out of custody.
Okay, so basically, it's a little bit hard to hear him because his voice is a little mumbled, but I'm going to paraphrase pretty much what he says because I think it's really important. Basically, what he says is they were on a mission in a different country, and he went out on a solo mission and was captured by the enemy and thrown in jail, is basically what he said. So in other words, the enemy caught him, they captured him, and this guy, Copper Top 22, with a couple of other people, went to extract him out of jail. So once again, if Jason Blaha was a mercenary, he wasn't a very good one. But that's not what I want to bring your attention to. What I want to bring your attention to in this particular case is, according to the exposed report, he's trying to put out false information about with his friend over here. And this is the information he put out. Well, if I were trying to put out information about myself, I wouldn't want the first piece of information and evidence that I was in some type of mercenary unit to be that I had been captured by the enemy country, by the enemy forces. So that leads me to think that this guy is actually telling us the truth, that he really wasn't in an extraction team to get Jason Blaha out of jail. In other words, if I was trying to make that I was a Rambo or I was some type of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you, having my guy tell you about how I was captured by the enemy. That doesn't even make any sense. I would want to say how I blew up a bunch of trucks, or I shot down, I took on 12 enemies all by myself and laid them all flat. Stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to, the first piece of evidence that I had done any work in mercenary work would be that I had been captured by the enemy. But maybe that's just me. Moving along.
This kind of a broken guy. Wasn't really the same after that, and I don't think he really had it in him anymore. Apparently he was pursued on foot, chased by dogs, survived several engagements by himself, stole a truck and ran out of ammo when he was apprehended with a suppressed G3, and he was an HK-45 that was also suppressed, so we kind of knew that that was our guy.
Alright, so he had been chased. This is the most unusual piece of evidence. I'm not really sure what to make of this piece of information. This whole being chased on foot. And I'm not sure if this was after the extraction from jail. In other words, after the mission, or this was while he was being pursued by the country who ultimately captured him. And if so, who told these stories? I'm inclined to believe that maybe this guy heard these stories, possibly from Jason Blaha himself. So this small piece of the account of him being chased by dogs and stealing a truck, I won't put too much banking in those details, because those, how does he know that, right? I'm just trying to be fair for both sides here. I'm just trying to come into this video objectively.
So we went and got him, and I never really saw him after that, but that's that guy, and I don't really understand the stolen valor bit. I don't think he ever claimed to be military. We were contractors.
Basically, this guy, Copper Top 22, didn't even know Jason at the time. And he had just been put together for the team to go on the extraction from the enemy jail, the country. But I do believe he was stationed somewhere in Central America between Mexico and Colombia. But I'll get to that in just a minute. Now, I'm inclined to believe that he may or may not have been tortured during the time that he was in captivity with the other country, possibly tortured for information. I don't know. Only Jason knows that. But be that as it may, let's move on.
What are the kids saying? Operators, as I like to, some of y'all's articles like to say. I do know that I've seen him work, and he's not really somebody I'd want on the bad side. I damn sure don't want to be downrange from him if he's got a 308 in his hand. I don't know. I just think it's strange. It's a false claim of stolen valor, and we have to be careful about that. Anyway, this is Copper Top 22. Hope I helped.
Okay, so I scoured the internet for some evidence with regard to Jason's claims about stolen valor, and this is what I kept coming back to. So here's the video clip.
I was scouted out for certain types of work before I even finished high school. Again, due to my family, my upbringing, connections certain members of my families might have had, along with my shooting skills.
So this information about Jason Blaha possibly getting his mercenary job through members of his family, which were possibly in the military themselves, specifically with regard to his father, are very parallel with his claims as well as the information out there online. So this is not unusual or new information. And so this particular clip runs about 15 minutes and is relatively long-winded, so I figured I'd shorten it down for you. So here's more from the same clip.
There was a drug war happening all the way from our border with Mexico all the way down into Venezuela and Colombia. There was an enormous amount of mercenaries being hired to do various work. And there weren't enough veterans, not even close to enough veterans to do all of those jobs. So that idea is just absurd. This is people who can't even do logistics or look what was going on at the world at that time, who think that because now we have veterans everywhere. We just had 2 protracted wars. We recruited millions of new soldiers for those wars, trained them, and we have all these veterans. We didn't have young, skilled veterans during that day. They just weren't there. They didn't exist in any sort of meaningful number. So yes, people with any of the right backgrounds who could be trained, who had aptitudes, were recruited to do this sort of work, who had no military experience. Large numbers of them were. I met large numbers of men with no military experience, young men who just had certain aptitudes and skill sets or the right connections that got trained up to do this sort of work. And it wasn't full-time jobs. These were off and on things, a weekend here, a week there, a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, in and out of the country.
So at this point of the video, you can start to see the past of Jason Blaha's mercenary career really starting to formulate in the fact that he wasn't this Rambo or this Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was just a down and out sort of guy looking for a way out, and found this mercenary gig, which didn't even pay him a whole lot by his own account, and he just phoned it in on the week a couple times, so he probably didn't even see a whole lot of action. You really start seeing just a damaged dude through and through, that just didn't really get the very good end of the stick in life, and not this just ultimate warrior that the internet makes him out to be. and he never claimed to be. So really, when you start putting together the facts and ignore the fluff, you start getting a better picture of what this guy is all about. He literally went through the experience, and it was a crappy experience, and he basically just wants to forget it ever happened.
Exposed TV has already exposed Jason Blaha for being a fake mercenary, so we all know that this story by Coppertop22 is pure bullshit.
Now, before I address that logical fallacy, I'm going to address the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you assume beyond a reasonable doubt that in the 1990s of the U.S., in the war on drugs, particularly within Mexico and up until Colombia, there was no mercenary groups, i.e., private mercenary contractors that were hiring non-military boys for their units? Can you say, beyond a reasonable doubt, given the information given just thus far, that there was no private contractors hiring young men for their units? I do not think that I can. I think that there is a reasonable doubt that there were or were not private military mercenary contractors in the 1990s used that were hiring young boys who are not previously in the military. And I think anybody with a reasonable conscience would tend to agree. Let's keep that in mind as we continue on. Okay, so what we have here is Exposed TV has already exposed Jason Blaha for being a fake mercenary. So you all know this story by Copper22 is pure BS. I don't think logic works like that. Exposed TV is the same source that's trying to expose him again. So and if Exposed TV did expose Jason Blaha, then they would have linked that in the description, but they didn't say anything about a link in the description. Now, I understand that this is not the original video because Exposed TV has been taken down, but be that as it may, it would still should be a footnote about when Jason Blaha was exposed, link in the description below, something like that. You can't just go off the fact that we already know Jason Blaha was exposed as a fake mercenary. We do. As far as I'm concerned, this is the biggest piece of evidence that I've come across, or the best argument that I've come across in him being a fake mercenary. So what exactly are we referring to when we say already exposed? That would sort of be like me saying that car is blue, right? And then you saying, well, no, it's not. And I would say, well, I know that car is blue because I already told you it's blue. You see how there's a sort of a break in logic there. That doesn't make any sense. You can't know that car is blue unless you see that the car is indeed blue with your own eyes, right? You can say, oh, that car is blue, but you can't say that car is blue just because I told you that that car is blue. You hear what I'm saying? Maybe that's not the perfect example, but you guys get the point.
Jason Blaha for being a fake mercenary, so we all know that this story by Coppertop22 is pure bullshit. Let's begin with putting Mr. Coppertop's face back to normal.
This is Coppertop22.
We believe Coppertop22 to be Jay Parker or Woke, who's living in Texas.
Okay, so he probably is Jay Parker living in Texas.
This is his Facebook page, as can be seen from his photos and posts.
Alright. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic of which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. I challenge everyone to repost our country's allegiance with pledge as it was written. Okay, so we know this is already know this is a patriotic guy. We know that this guy is, at the very least, we know he's real to his patriotism. Right. So this guy does indeed seem like a guy that would be in the military, right? He's got a military sort of camo hat. He looks like he's got some eggs and, you know, in the back. It looks like the kind of guy, egg cartons, maybe watching his protein intake, probably he lifts. That doesn't mean he's in the military, but that's just a, you know, just a side thought. It doesn't look like a guy who wouldn't be in the military. Let's just say that.
When searching
Okay.
for his friends, we find Moon Cookie, Blaha's girlfriend.
Okay. So once again, this doesn't prove anything. I mean, I've known a lot of guys, friends of my own, who have been in the military, who are friends later on in life. This doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
As well as the fake mercenary himself, Jason Blaha.
Okay, so once again, this doesn't surprise me either. We have, you know, like I said, I have friends in the military, and all the time, you know, when they get out of the military, years later, they reconnect with their old friends. I mean, this is nothing, this should not be a surprise to anybody.
Now let's give Copper Top 22, G Parker a call, and let's find out what's going on here.
You know.
I didn't make any video. You're calling me from England? I didn't make any video. I take it you're the bearded guy. Nope.
Okay. So right now, this guy, Copper Top 22, is lying through his teeth, or Jay Parker, whatever you want to call him, because he doesn't want to have any connection with Jason Blaha. Because this is actually his worst nightmare, that somebody go ahead and unscramble the image and figure out who he is. He doesn't want to be in connection. He was just trying to put out a video, and he probably scrambled it with some homemade, probably Adobe Photoshop or the likes, right? And he never thought that somebody would unscramble it, because he never thought that these Jason cyber stalkers would be that crazy to unscramble the original image. So of course he's going to be on the fence about somebody who's done unscrambled his original work, and then found him on Facebook, connected Jason Blaha with him, and then called him up on his own home number. I'd be pretty offensive on defense about this as well. I don't know, this would probably cause me to lose a little bit of sleep if I got a call like this one.
Jay Parker, friends with Jason Blaha? I'm not friends with anybody with the last name Blaha. How come this number's linked to your Facebook and your resume then? My Facebook and my resume?
So once again, he's saying the Facebook and the resume. We don't know anything about such resume, but the Facebook we obviously know about. But this guy Exposed TV is just trying to bother him. He's just trying to get to him, and he is. But at this point, the appropriate response would be like pretty much, who the hell are you, and why are you calling me? You know, it's like, what do you want from my life? Who are you? Right, type of response. And that's pretty much exactly what he says.
Who are you and why are you calling me? I'm calling you because I was hoping to help you out regarding this online campaign that's been happening.
Okay, so what do you mean help him out? What Copper Top 22 is going to say, help me out with what? You're the one bringing the drama to my door. I'm just minding my own business, doing my work, doing my job. You're coming out to me. What are you talking about helping me? How are you going to help me? Which is pretty much exactly what he says.
Because you're going to help me? How are you going to help me? Well, you didn't realize that you were going to be involved in this, but now you are because they've identified you.
So this will really piss anybody who's been an ex-mercenary off. They've identified me. Who's identified me? You hear the logic behind where Copper Top is coming from. He doesn't want to be associated with Jason. He's not looking to be associated with Jason. He's pissed off the fact that he was associated with Jason, right? because as far as he was concerned, he was just trying to help out Jason with some of his exposed videos and showing that Jason was actually a mercenary, but probably between the ages of 20 and 24. So he probably didn't have a very long mercenary career, and probably, judging by the evidence, wasn't a very successful mercenary career, but he had one nonetheless. And he probably killed a few people, which was enough to make him crack under the PTSD, which is what Jason claims. So, in all honesty, in all reality, his mercenary career probably lasted somewhere between only 2 and 3 years. So, not a very long time. But be that as it may, this guy is acting exactly like anybody who would be exposed and linked to another a long lost guy he did an extraction for back 16 years ago. These guys acting exactly as he should. This guy from calling from England, this exposed TV, it's none of his business. So why should Copper Top 22 act in any other way? I'm more inclined to believe Copper Top 22 than anything else.
Who's identified me? You're helping me by you identifying me?
See, he's totally in denial. He of course he's going to deny it. He doesn't want to be identified, and he pretty much just hit the nail on the head here. Basically, he's telling the exposed TV, "You're helping me by you identifying me," meaning you're calling me to help me by identifying me. Does that make any sense? No. Exposed TV is full of BS, and that's all it is. He's full of BS, and Copper Top 22, being the mercenary that he is, he's figuring out the situation. He's summing it up really, really quickly. So he really hit the nail on the head with this. You're going to help me by you identifying me.
Video, I don't know who you're talking about, and I don't appreciate getting phone calls. It's actually to help you. It's not to try to implicate you in anything sinister. It's to warn you. I think I recognize your voice, and I don't think you help people.
So he did slip up here. He said, "I think I recognize your voice, and I don't think you help people." And that's understandable. He says, "How would you know my voice if you don't know Jason Blaha?" And then here, I'll show you.
How would you recognize my voice if you don't know Jason Blaha?
Right, and then the phone call hangs up. But the point that we're here is basically he caught him up in the lie that he was trying to tell him, the denial, so to speak, and that's perfectly fine. Mr. Copper Top 22 was lying. He does know Jason, and he doesn't want to talk about it. It's really as simple as that. It's not any deeper than that. It's not any more shallow than that. It's exactly what it is. He doesn't want to talk to some unknown person calling from another country about somebody that he had done previous work in the military or in a contractor's work with. He doesn't want to go there. So of course he's going to deny any association. And yes, he was caught in that lie. But this doesn't prove anything. And it certainly doesn't prove that Jason Blaha is some type of fake mercenary or something of the effect. At the very minimum, this doesn't give any evidence. No evidence at all for Jason being a fake mercenary. So I've given my evidence. Now it is up for you to draw your own conclusions based off of the evidence I have displayed here. So with that in mind, I hope this video turns the tide just a little bit on this fella, Jason Blaha.